So, going into the second round around in Clippers, and I've thrown out what people have done. First three players paid the $2 for the ×2 cards. I think, especially early in the game, those things are very, very valuable. And there's nothing really to convince me that I shouldn't take them early. Fourth player, US this time, picked the 5× marker. I hope that he paid his money. It looks like he might not have. I think I forgot to. Worth the buck? I don't know. With the extra chips, it seems like it is. You still get the bonuses for connecting stuff up. Seems like a good idea. Last player? Well, here the call is, you know, this... Not taking a pip, not taking a card might be fine. You only get one play, but you probably aren't going to get your bonus anyway, so this one seems kind of advantageous. But the thing is, he's still got port markers to place. He dropped one into New Guinea. Thinks that that's more worthwhile than getting a few extra placements without getting any bucks for it. Not sure how true that is, because with the 3×, he could actually push a couple of these lines into his general area, but whatever. Sort of this agreement that this is what's worthwhile at this point, at least amongst my players. Alright, so we'll start again with the placements. Okay, well, the first time around we see the white line has just been heavily used. And the reason here is, hey, as you start to get closer, as people have made the effort to push that line further and further, you want to get control of it. Also, maybe you want the bucks that you can grab from it, but right from the beginning there were decent money to be made from it, but money to be made on a lot of these. People are trying to control things, the Japanese trying to swing it in their direction, this, that, and the other, maybe without thinking too hard about what was going to happen. And in the end, the British set it up so it's heading to New Guinea, and then the Americans turned it up to head into their rich area up here where they have like several different markers already. And they got the double in Solomon Islands. It's got to go there, kind of. Unless, of course, somebody branches it. Nobody bought a branching ship, so that didn't happen this time. This was only Phase 2. We've got Phase 3 left still. Most of the other lines didn't get anywhere. The Dutch, however, pushed their ship here and got a bonus buck that nobody was really looking for. Most of the other players pulled in $4 for the turn, but the US used all its builds for this turn. And for Phase 3, a little bit less drama. The white line, hey, stuck here. Nobody really wanted to connect it up. Only the US did, and they didn't have any pieces. Yeah, others have interest. But what ended up happening, the Japanese started turning this. Germans said, oh, I can get a double build there. And, well, the final one was just the British saying, you know, was it the British? No, it was the Dutch saying, I want to make sure this gets kind of near Australia so that I score my points for it. We're beginning to see some of the lines that have played out heavily have very few pieces left. Whereas others, hey, they haven't gone anywhere at all. Alright, well, all the tiles go back, and we get a new starting player. And for the pieces, people again putting down the $2 to buy the 2×2 cards. I'm beginning to think port placement might be more valuable at this point. Those $2 are going to get you maybe $4 extra, whereas grabbing a port placement in some place like New Guinea or the Solomons, which the Japanese of course took, is worth $8. Well, maybe not, because you can almost certainly find at least a $4 space. So, you know, the thing is, though, that the choices are becoming a little bit closer together. I think the ×2 markers are still worthwhile, which is why everybody's picking them up. The Dutch grabbed the ×5 marker, again going for that control thing. That may be a little bit iffier. That's probably still going to score $4, but only 4. Then again, of course, without a marker, you may not be scoring anything at all, because you only have one place, unless somebody opens something up for you, or it's already open. Alright, well, still nobody took a branching. There were some thoughts about it. Brits thinking about the black line coming forward especially. Others, well, maybe the Germans thinking about grabbing that. But, you know, you can move out of those areas if they're not pleasant, is what I've learned in the 2-player game. Now, here in 5 players, you may not get enough chances. You may be playing so many of these that the port card just doesn't become an issue. So there we are on the phase 2 actions for this turn. And what did we see happen? Well, the Germans pushed down towards theirs. Basically, that may be for me, everybody pushed the lines. The 2 times players pushed the lines to get their $4 each. After that's done, the Dutch said, wow, I can hook this up real quick. Did that, got $4 for that. Remember, they only get ×1. And they also found a little freebie here that gave them another $2. So they scored quite large there and used up their 5 times marker. The Japanese, on the other hand, didn't have anything clearly desirable to play from the position they're in, so they extended the green line. They must play somewhere. Nothing was terribly pleasant for them. Now, one thing I noted, I didn't mention how you win this thing. Well, I mentioned how you win and how the victory points are scored, but how it ends. It basically ends when nobody can play, well, when somebody can't play anymore. Which is to say, even if other people are holding ship lines that could branch things out further, if one person is in a position where they cannot play and must, the game is over. Which can be a possibility, because there is the chance of dead ending things. Usually, though, most of the little ship lines will be spent before that happens. Now at the end of this turn we see some more movement. Black, for example, can't really reach anywhere. They've only got 2 pieces left. British were considering, oh, I want to get to New Guinea with them. Well, they can't. They can't make it there. They can make it somewhere. If somebody can fork them off and move them up to Fate, for example, or one of these other places. But it isn't worth it at this point, at least not for Britain. Some of the countries, yeah, maybe they do want to ensure that that extra line gets in there. 6 points is a valuable territory, so it's of some interest. However, there are multiple people sharing those, and neither one's terribly vital. Japan wins either way, and the other players, well, maybe not so excited. Okay, well, what else? The green line swung around and was being used. Everybody's using it to kind of boost, which is to say the Brits took a score from it but then moved a piece out to make a score available to someone else. And likewise, the Americans have grabbed it up, set it up for another score as well. Purple's now hooked up, which means we can start placing those. Remember, they don't require a ship at all. They can just kind of branch out and become very, very powerful in a way that the other ships are not. And let's see what else we got here. Japanese managed to force white up into the Marshall Islands. Now, they have no further desires, but other people will move that forward. Everybody pretty much still going for cash, though. And we can see some of the players have accumulated quite a bit. 4 Bs. Those are 5s each. You know, for the people who are in the lead here. But other people aren't doing, you know, are maybe trying to score in other ways. Or succeeding better in other ways. So, that's the end of the turn. And we pass this on, and it'll be the Brits first. Okay, and on this next turn, the British had first pick. See a little bit of difference here. They and the Americans went with the ×2. The Dutch had the option to do so, but instead chose to drop a second token here into New Guinea. The reason for that is the ×2, yeah, it gives you more shifting ability. But what is the money it's going to produce? At most, it's going to give you $8 extra, by my judgment, right? You get a $2 island doubled, $2 island doubled. Those may be $8 you can't get without the 2 times. If you had 1 time, you might just not be able to get any bonus. So, let's say it's $8 extra. Well, they're getting that by placing in New Guinea. So that seems reasonable. The thing is, you still do get more control over the shipping lanes. So that's why it's still interesting to some of the players. There were still $2 islands available to a ×2 multiplier. So there's $4 almost guaranteed to the people who took them. Nobody bought an extra boat. Desire there, I mean, the one that was being thought of still is the Hawaii move. You take a port in Hawaii, you pay $3, and you boost your boat there. But you're throwing 3 victory points away for that as well. And at most you get 2 people going to Hawaii. Other islands, you could get more than 2. So you got to kind of hope that those are more valuable. Hawaii really doesn't look that enticing. It seemed it in my first game, but it is less interesting now. All right, on with play. Well, we had some initial. Now, I was thinking about this. This may not be the Dutch, maybe the French tricolor there. It just looks a little off because the blue is kind of a little paler than I would expect for them. But that would... You think the Dutch when you think here, though, but the French were also involved here. So I don't know. I don't know which one they chose. One does question about this, though, because Germany certainly didn't exist as too heavy a participant in the Clipper shipping until very late in the game, I think. I don't think they were too heavy on the Clipper ship side. They had colonies very late in the game. I don't think they were big traders at any point. Whereas both the Dutch and the French, more the Dutch, but both the Dutch and French would have been involved. Anyway, what do we got for the turn? The Americans and Brits grabbing money, but also hooking things in directions they wanted them. Great. And then we move to the Dutch, who really couldn't do much. They put things out as put something out as an enticement because they couldn't get money themselves. Actually, they could have. They just didn't either see it or desire it. Where did the Japanese push? I don't remember where the Japanese pushed. But the big 5 times German push was to get green out to get to their big location, and that'll get them a double up on that. And then they also pumped in some extra points coming out of into Western Samoa. All right, on to the second round. And those 2 times markers are beginning to play out and become less and less valuable. We're seeing them scoring just $2 around now instead of the 4 that was kind of the common before, because you're landing on islands that other people have already hit. You're seeing them being used more maybe to extend things in the direction you want them going. So the Japanese played the purple, picking up $2, but moving down towards Fiji and Efate, which they wanted to take. I think that people are going to be making less and less of those. More and more, the boats themselves, the $3 Clipper advantages are becoming more interesting. Certainly with the 2 card, because you could grab Hawaii or Kirimanti. These places that are, that were off the beaten track before can now be connected up. Black has some options. They could hit Efate, for example, if somebody buys the boat. And that might be worth doing because there are other places they could go. And, well, the problem is there's 2 people there, Japan and Germany. Either one kind of wants it. And we got the similar kind of combination in the other direction. But since both of them want it, neither one really wants to take the hit of doing it. And maybe the other guy will do it. It's the same kind of thought you have in an 18XX game where maybe somebody will make that track improvement that I need because I've got things that I can do that only I can want to do. So I want to make sure those get done because they might be more competitive. It doesn't seem to be anyone else who has a big bonus for doing something off black, except maybe this one, which Japan's happy with too. So Germany or France, the Netherlands, whatever, may want to grab theirs, either Fiji or Fate at some point. Likewise, though, there's this other situation here where neither the U.S. nor Japan wants to make this connection, nor Britain for that matter. Because once they do, the other one has the jump on pushing it in the other direction. And that's just a... you don't want to make moves, and you think you can delay moves that you otherwise want to make because someone else will do them. I love that kind of dynamic, and this is where it reminds me of the track laying XX. All right, I'll move the anchor and load this one up and start a new turn.